maybe. um, gonna wait for like just a minute to make sure that I can be heard because I've had like so many mishaps with my audio in the past couple of weeks trying to do this. Um, so we'll just wait for a minute. Um, and I'll drink some water out of Greg's cup. Okay. So if anybody's out there, can you hear me? Hoping you can. I'm gonna wait for like a thumbs up so I know that I can be heard. Jackie, if you're there, can you tell me if you hear me? The anticipation is killing me. Well, there are people here, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm sure you'll tell me if you can't, right? So that sounds good. Um, I am Pastor K.C, Associate Pastor and Director of Family Ministries at Foundry. I am coming to you live from just outside of Washington, D.C. For our first Good Noon in a while. I have missed you. Um, so it's so good to be back. Worship yesterday, our first worship service of 2021, Epiphany, the last Sunday in the Christmas season. It was great. Yesterday we had some beautiful choral pieces, and Pastor Kelly brought the word. We also celebrated a love feast. All kinds of really good, amazing stuff. So check that out if you missed it. I have confirmation that you all can hear me, so that is good. We will keep going. Um, so today is the first Monday of 2021. It's the first Monday of a new year. I was thinking about this morning when I woke up, there's this hashtag that like people use on Instagram and maybe Twitter, hashtag Monday motivation. Um, and so I was thinking about motivation for a Monday, and then I was thinking about, wow, like motivation for the first Monday of the year. And so I wondered if anybody else was like seeking motivation or seeking inspiration, or if you were like ready to go this morning, or if there was maybe part of you that was like, oh, like existential crisis. Like, what am I doing? I didn't quite have an existential crisis, but I did kind of find myself seeking some motivation or some inspiration. And it reminded me yesterday afternoon, I was talking to a friend um, who was feeling particularly down, and she was like, I just feel like I need, some inspiration. And I started, y'all have to tell me if you remember these. I started thinking about these like circa like 90s, 2000s inspirational posters that were like hanging on every business like wall, every CEO wall. Like every time you went in somewhere, it was like these inspirational posters like had a bald eagle on it, and then like underneath it was like one word like success, or um like a picturesque sort of like mountainscape or something, and it was like, take aim, or tell me that you all remember these. I would love to know if you do. And also, I couldn't find them. I was like looking on the internet all morning and I couldn't find them. So, if anybody remembers like the company who did it, because it was, oh, it's like right on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. Anyway, I remember seeing these inspirational posters, sort of like all over the walls of everywhere. Um, and it like it made me start quoting to my friend who was needing some inspiration, like these really hokey inspirational cliches. Um, like, um, like if you like set your mind to it, you can do it, you know, which is like not bad advice, but it's also like, does it mean anything? I'm not sure. And so I just kept quoting like these really super hokey cliches, and what it did not do was inspire her, but what it did do was make us laugh. And then my soul said, oh, there it is. Those like posters never really resonated with me. I've never really found inspiration or motivation in cliches or like overly proof texted Bible verses. Um, in fact, most of the time when I've been inspired, it's been because someone told me the full story. Um, Maybe you can hear my puppy. Come here. Come here. Yeah, so most of the time when I've been inspired, it's not been because I've heard part of the story or because I've heard sort of like this watered down idea of what success is, or I've heard this sort of like a mirage of what it can look like in the future, kind of like this whole, if you do this and this, then all of your problems will just go away. That's never really been something that's stuck with me. I know that it maybe has done that for others. And so like I was thinking this morning about motivation and inspiration. I was thinking about that moment yesterday with my friend. And I was obviously, as we embark on a new year, thinking about resolutions and ways in which folks sort of like, as the clock ticks to midnight, hope and pray for newness in the year. And there's been sort of a wave of people this year sort of like, you know, let's do everything we possibly can to welcome 2021 because we don't want her to treat us like 2020 did. Which is funny to me, thinking, not funny, haha, for sure, but funny, interesting, thinking about the ways in which we all sort of felt the collective weight of a year and all sort of are feeling the collective hope of a new one. And what it reminded me is that when we are connected and part of this big story, there's so much more groundedness and humanity in our longings that we have solidarity with one another in. And so an inspirational quote on a wall, there's no connection to that. It's just words printed on paper, hanging on someone's wall. And what struck me is that in that moment with my friend, when we laughed, the sort of cacophony of our laughter like struck this chord in my soul that reminded me like, oh right, like this collective shared human experience is it. This is what it is. And so then that started that started me down a trail of thinking about what it looks like to be honest with ourselves in the midst of seeking inspiration and motivation. And so thinking about how, like, not the phrase aim for success and you'll hit it, but aim for success and you're gonna miss it 1,000 times. And then you'll cry. And then you'll feel defeated. But notice what you're feeling. Isn't that interesting? Is it teaching you anything about loss, about yourself, about who's around you, about what you might really be aiming for? And so I think maybe I'm just not interested in like trite and hokey Monday motivations, and I'm more sort of interested in figuring out a way to do the thing that strikes the chord in my soul that says, oh, there it is. Because that's not about like That's not about diet culture. It's not about Walmart and all of these other retailers putting out all their diet stuff in the front aisle to make us, you know, like buy into something that's just really a mirage. It's not about that. What it's about is figuring out a way to live in the midst of collective and shared humanity, in ways that we are seeking to have that chord in our soul being played over and over again that says, oh, right, like this is good. And not in a good sort of like in an empty way, like in the creative way, in the way that God says this is creation and it is good. That's not hokey at all. What it is its wholeness and its fullness. This creation is good. And so what is it that strikes that chord in your soul? What is it? And maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But what I think our inspiration and motivation could be is to spend, every day that we can trying to encounter ourselves and one another in that goodness. And so we have this saying sometimes when we're talking about stuff like, oh, like these biscuits, like I'm from the South, y'all, these biscuits are good for the soul, right? So what is it that's good for your soul? And let that inspire you. Let that motivate you. Today, the boys and I were having some trouble getting going this morning, and Cash is doing homeschool, and there's just a lot of things going on in the Van Beer household. And so looking for some inspiration and motivation this morning, I turned on Shania Twain because obviously. And we had like an impromptu dance party to Shania Twain's That Don't Impress Me Much, which is one of my favorites. And it got everybody up and moving. We laughed, and my soul said, oh, there it is. So I think we'll be having some more dance breaks this year. I think that we'll be trying to laugh more. I think what 2020 taught me is that even in and amongst the horrendous experience that 2020 was for all of us, that's still not the whole story, right? So maybe we can find inspiration, motivation in telling the whole story. The whole story was that 2020 was pretty bad, but you know what? Like, I forged relationships with my kids and with my husband in ways that are super strong, and that's not what I expected. And so I'm going to add that to the pot. And in 2021, what I'm going to expect and look forward to is that, like, aiming for success, right? Because, like, as a parent of 2 kids and trying to do a job and do all of this stuff, like, success for my 5-year-old in homeschool kindergarten, and success in my job, and success in sort of helping my husband maintain a household and doing all of those things. It's not like just aim for that and I'll hit it. No, it's like if I'm aiming for that, I might miss it 1,000 times. 1,000 times. But you know what? That's the whole story. And so what is inspiring me and motivating me today is that laughter I felt with my friend yesterday, and that dancing break I had with my kids this morning, and just that stuff that's good for the soul, whatever that is. So I hope that on this first Monday of a new year, that you'll find a way to either discern or continue to live into those things that are just real good for your soul. You know what? This is really good for my soul too. This kid. This is Zion, our little puppy. And he's really good for my soul. So you know what? If you're looking for inspiration, motivation, Do not search the hashtag Monday Motivation. Instead, go outside. I don't know what the weather's like, but go outside. Listen to some music. Read a book. Dance. Furiously dance. Sing. Whatever it is that strikes that chord in your soul, do that. And I'll see you there. I hope that you'll stick around to our social media this week. It looks like we are back on some regularly scheduled programming, so you'll see Pastor Will tomorrow at 10 a.m. for Wandering Toward Wonder. All kinds of great and amazing, wonderful things happening with Foundry this year, and I am looking forward to all of it. I miss you, and I love you so much. I hope that you're feeling the love from here. Can't wait to see all of you again soon. And as always, you say it with me, Siren? Good noon, everybody.